very easy to get overwhelmed and not know what to do. But if we just keep moving forward with little steps, we feel a lot better. I'd really like us to embrace creativity in how we meet water conservation goals and other climate goals.
Hi there! Welcome to Everyday Climate Champions, where we speak with community members here in the San Francisco Bay Area about how they're putting real climate solutions into action.
Thank you for joining me, Sean Mendelson, your host for this episode of Everyday Climate Champions. Today's topic, transitioning to drought-tolerant landscapes during this climate crisis. On the Everyday Climate Champions podcast, we talk to our local community members about the actions they are taking. As droughts continue to be a significant challenge each year in California, it's important to conserve water and adapt to this new normal. I recently made the choice to remove our front lawn and put in drought-tolerant plants in order to significantly reduce our household's water usage. We're talking with Stephanie Morris today, who designed our new landscape and was there through every step of the process. She's been extra busy these days helping many Bay Area residents transform their yards. She was recently named San Jose's Climate Smart Water Conservation Champion for 2022. Climate Smart is a community-wide initiative to reduce air pollution, save water, and improve quality of life in an effort to fight climate change. I'm excited to speak to Stephanie about her work. Thanks for joining me as my guest today, Stephanie.
Thanks so much for having me, Sean.
So, you're an ecologically oriented landscape architect who emphasizes the use of California native plants. Why is this important to you?
Native plants really connect me to this place and allow me to honor California's seasons. Many of our native plants provide food for pollinators, and those pollinators sustain birds and pollinate food plants as well. And indigenous cultures in our area, such as the Muwekma Ohlone, are reminding us today that we all have a deep tie to our land. As we nurture the land, it nurtures us, and it also nurtures other forms of life. And one thing that really impresses me is that California has over 6,500 plant species that come from a variety of different types of habitats. And so I just get really fascinated by their adaptations and the fact that I can grow something that is native to our place right in my own landscape.
Why did you become a climate activist, and what has sustained you to the point of becoming San Jose's Water Conservation Climate Champion for 2022?
I would say my main motivation was to leave the world in a better place for my son and the children of today. I never really thought of myself as a climate activist, but I realized that I really needed to do something and step up. And especially because children don't have a political voice right now, and they did not cause the climate crisis, and yet they're going to inherit everything that's being decided today. And about 25 years ago, I converted the lawn of my first home to a native plant garden. And at that time, I was super amazed to see what happened. I found all these butterflies and native bees, lizards, and different types of bird species, things that I hadn't known existed and would come to an urban landscape. And I grew up in the Bay Area, so I grew up with a traditional home with a lawn and shrubs. And here I'm finding that there's this whole other world that you can do with your garden. And I have come from a family of gardeners, so naturally I was very excited about this. And I also saved a lot of water in the process of making this landscape conversion. And I felt more connected to the land. And so it really sustained me to try to want to do this for more people.
That's really cool. I love how you've integrated your love for plants into what you do. What are the methods or strategies people can use in their homes, gardens, or businesses to avoid water scarcity in the future?
I would say one of the primary things that would be a good strategy would be to ask water retailers for more frequent water billing cycles. And actually, I saw an article just about this in the newspaper the other day, and the idea is we can give people access to data more often so that we can all know how much more water we're using, and therefore we can make our own decisions and adjustments based on that. So I think if we advocate for that, that would be fantastic, and then we can have that measurable data. And a lot of homes in California still do not even have water meters, so we definitely need to change that. At home, I do some really simple things. I use a bucket to collect water in my shower as it's heating up, And then I use that outside to water my plants, or I use it to flush my toilet, which is super easy to do. Just basically dump it in. And I'm also mindful to turn off the shower water between soaping and shampooing, and that helps a lot. In the landscape, I would say sheet mulching is an absolutely fantastic way to conserve water. The idea there is you put down a layer of cardboard, and then you cover it with a 3 to 5 inch layer of wood chips, and it really holds the moisture in during the summer and the hot weather. I also water any plants in the evening or early morning. Faucet aerators are great, and businesses can use these too for their sinks in their kitchens and bathrooms, and these provide a reduced water flow out the faucet. There's a great way to also in businesses convert unused lawn areas to low water planting. You can see some really nice businesses now that have done this, and they look much more interesting, and they have mixed species of flowering plants and some ornamental grasses and take a lot less water. One last thing I thought of is that what you eat makes a difference as well. It takes a lot more water to grow meat, like cow meat, to maturity and to process cow milk than it does to eat plant-based foods and plant-based milks.
Wow, that's a lot of great ideas, a myriad of practical things that we can do with our families, with the businesses. I should point out that Stephanie recently re-landscaped our property, which we'd never done before, and I discovered that plants take a while to mature, so I learned the important value of patience in respect to new plantings. I think about all the transitions individuals will need to make in order to stop climate change. So what are some of the hurdles that you've discovered as people move through the climate transition?
The biggest hurdle in transitioning is financial, is the cost. We want to pay a living wage to those who do the work of landscaping because it's a lot of hard work, and it can be sticker shock for most people because materials are expensive and also labor is really expensive in our area. So for landscaping, there are some really good low-cost programs out there. Our city forest runs a great one called Lawn Busters, and Earth Care, a landscaping company, runs one called Natural Front Yards. And also, most of us love green, and like you mentioned, Sean, at the beginning, we will see a lot of wood chips visible. And so it's a big transition to make in our minds that at first we're going to see green, and then we're going to see some brown wood chips. And a lot of people try to just plant a whole bunch of things, and it gets filled up too much with plants, and it becomes overgrown. So it takes a little bit of, like you mentioned, patience to wait that first 6 months or a year for plants to fill in. But generally, by about the second year, the garden is quite filled in, and even right away, you'll notice a lot of growth and a lot of exciting plant life and biodiversity with insects and birds, which is, I think, fuels us along while we're waiting for our gardens to grow in.
I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that Valley Water, which is our local water company, offered us a rebate for getting rid of our front lawn and replacing it with low water plants. Can you speak about the present rebates that customers can take advantage of, please?
Sure, yes. The landscape rebates that are offered through Valley Water have been absolutely instrumental in fueling great change. And there is a $2 per square foot rebate. So basically for every square foot of lawn you take out, they will pay you $2. And this also applies to swimming pools, removing swimming pools and converting either that lawn or that swimming pool to a low water planting. There's a plant list. They ask you to provide a certain amount of coverage, and they ask you to convert your irrigation away from spray irrigation and put some wood chip mulch down. And you can find out more information about this program at their website, which is valleywater.org. There's also rebates for converting spray irrigation in shrub areas to drip irrigation and installing weather-based controllers and also capturing rainwater on your site. And for residences, you can get a rebate of up to $3,000. But those have been fantastic because they give people a financial incentive to be able to do what they might have wanted to do but may have had a hard time affording.
That's really great news. And anytime we can incentivize this transitional period, it obviously can bring more people on board with it as well. And as a result, I'm assuming you've seen an increase in people wanting to re-landscape in the Bay Area due to the drought. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. The pace of lawn conversions has been steadily growing over at least the past 5 years. I've been here working in this area for about 25 years, and at the beginning, I really had to do a lot of convincing and explaining and educating, And I don't find that I have to do that very much anymore. I just get calls after calls, and people are already on board, and they have a plan, and they know what they want to do, and they just want to have me help them with the design and take it forward from there. So the rebate's been a huge success in helping people finance that. But one of the other things that's been really fantastic is annual events such as the Growing Native Garden Tour. That can be looked at their website, which is GNGT, or growingnativegardentour.org. And that started right here in the South Bay. And what it is people open up their homes, and you can go and see their gardens for free. And then you can get ideas of what other people have done to convert their lawns to native plant gardens and also drought-tolerant plants. You can envision it in your mind and see what it might look like at your home.
Well, it absolutely would help me. I'm a visual person, and I think there's going to be more opportunities for people to see these kind of events. I think that's wonderful. What has been one of the best parts of your job, by the way, working with people on redesigning their space future-oriented to the climate?
I really enjoy the fact that each landscape and homeowner is very different. So each day of my job is totally different. And I work with people who are really, really well versed and active in gardening, and people who don't garden at all and want things that are very simple. And so I enjoy the idea that I'm working with plants, that I feel like I'm doing something to benefit the climate and the pollinators, and hopefully at the end of the day making people happy with their landscape conversions, and what they see pulling up to our house and looking out at our yards has a big impact on our lives.
What are your hopes for the Bay Area and the world from a water conservation perspective going forward?
I would say that a continued and increasing awareness is the best starting point. And locally, we can do things like look around and see if we notice water waste, and we can actually report that. There's a great hotline where you can do that. It's waterwise@valleywater.org. They also have a phone number where you can call and report water waste, 408-630-2000. And I think we can just be gentle, but be effective in continuing to educate others. It's very easy to get overwhelmed and not know what to do. But if we just keep moving forward with little steps, we feel a lot better. And another goal I would have is I'd really like us to embrace creativity and how we meet water conservation goals and other climate goals. So if we can view transformation less as a loss and look at how we can look at it as an opportunity to really make our land and our homes and our transportation systems better in the process of converting, make them more interesting, make them more functional in the process.
I can't thank you enough. Just thinking about water waste, I see it every couple weeks, and I'm so glad we have an email and a phone number you've provided for that as well. But all the information you've shared today, I hope the people listening to this take it to heart. Thanks again for your time, Stephanie.
Thanks so much for doing this, Sean.
Hey listeners, Stephanie shared some links relating to water conservation that might inspire you. Just check out the show notes to follow that link. Bye for now.
You've been listening to Everyday Climate Champions, presented by the Climate Reality Project's Bay Area chapter. If you know any local folks who would make great guests, please drop us an email. As Climate Reality founder and former U.S. Vice President Al Gore says, solving the climate crisis is within our grasp, but we need people like you to stand up and act. To learn more, please visit climaterealitybayarea.org. See you next time.